Heads up, I hope I'm not taking anything away from our next speaker, because I know it's a very popular discussion. How many people on Facebook out there? Hands up. How many people on Facebook? Okay, so we're in good company, which is good news. But I think this discussion is going to go that much further as well. Whilst a lot of people will think of Facebook for what it's done in terms of connections, networking, keeping people together, interacting with individuals the world over. It goes so much further than that, not just for your personal, but also for your corporate lives as well. After the real-life networking that we've just had outside, it's time to move over to the virtual space, if you like. So to do that, I'd like to welcome onto stage a very special guest. He's the Group Director of the MENA region for Facebook, who's going to talk to us about consumer shifts and how your businesses, each and every one of your businesses, can thrive in this connected world with the help of Facebook and others. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Group Director, MENA for Facebook, Shant Oknayan.
Thanks. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing right after lunch? Do we need to stand up, move a little, get energized, get oxygen to the brain, or are we okay? Okay? Fantastic. So I'm Shant. I'm the Commercial Director for the Middle East, North Africa for Facebook family of apps and services. So not just the Blue app, but Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, some of the other cool tools that we're launching. And what I thought I'd do today is give you a little bit of our point of view on the changes that we're seeing happen around us every day and what that means for your businesses. Because we spend a lot of time thinking about the future, and we have a unique vantage point over the last 15 years where we're at the global intersection of 2.7 billion people who use our platforms every month, 90 million businesses who have some sort of presence on Facebook, and the 6 million advertisers that trust us with their business growth. And we look at how tech is changing consumer behavior and how that's going to map up over time. So you'll hear acronyms like AI, artificial intelligence, or AR, augmented reality. And these are just a means to connecting consumers to businesses. Nothing more than that. And they'll become more and more relevant as we look into the future. And by the way, when I say future, I mean 3 months down the road. The reason being, 2020 is a tipping point in a lot of the consumer shifts that we're seeing. Let's go through them one by one. In 2020, the majority of the world will be connected to the internet, predominantly through a mobile device. 52% of the world will be connected. That's in 2020. And by 2020, in certain countries, mobile will represent 50% of all e-commerce, such as in the UK. And by 2020, video will be the key consumption that people do on their mobile devices. 75% of mobile data will go towards video. And our favorite generation, the millennials, will constitute half of the global workforce. So we're basically entering a whole new world in a few months' time. But we need to start preparing for that from today. And guess what? No reason to panic, because the future comes to different places at different times. And all we need to do is just look at different places to understand the types of trends that could manifest themselves here as well. Whether it's mobile payments in sub-Saharan Africa to bank the unbanked, or the role of messaging platforms when it comes to commerce in Southeast Asia, or the fact that subscription models are dominating m-commerce in places like North America. So in light of that, I'd like to focus on what we call the 3 C's: culture, communication, and commerce. We'll go through each of these and see what are some of the trends that are manifesting themselves in each area. Let's start with culture. And when we say culture, we mean specifically how people perceive gender, how people perceive age, and how people perceive geographic belonging. Let's start with gender. In a global study that was conducted, it's become very apparent that traditional gender roles are becoming irrelevant. No longer does it make sense to stereotype people and say, okay, if I'm selling something related to the kitchen, it should go to the housewife. Or if it's something around sports, it should go to the man of the house. That makes absolutely no sense anymore in this day and age. In fact, we're already seeing a lot of companies lean into breaking those gender stereotypes. Some of them here in our own backyard, whether it's women who box or men who cook. And these types of message associations are actually having huge business impact. These are just some public figures as to what kind of business was drove by Souk a couple of years ago when they experimented with breaking gender walls. Huge install base and an uplift in sales. The other aspect of how culture is changing is around age. Age is now only a number. 40s are the new 30s, 50s are the new 40s. We're seeing people live longer and longer, and therefore embark on second or third work endeavors. We're seeing a lot of entrepreneurs who are in their 50s and 60s who are beginning to actually leverage their financial freedom to launch businesses. And as we discussed, millennials will make half of the global workforce. But don't expect them to be working tedious jobs. They care more about who they're working for and what their purpose is versus the financial incentives that are being put in front of them. In fact, 2/3 of them choose to work for an organization because the purpose resonates with them. And almost 60% have actually avoided doing a task because it goes against their own morals and values. And lo and behold, they want to be able to work from anywhere, anytime. It's no longer about work-life balance, 9 to 6, you punch in, you punch out. They want flexibility in their working arrangements. And they actually feel that that flexibility gives them higher productivity, higher well-being, and a stronger ability to meet the company's goals. Furthermore, they no longer rely on traditional tools like email or phone. In fact, most CEOs, in a survey that was conducted, think that we'll be moving away from these types of tools. They'll be leveraging things like instant messaging platforms, maybe work groups on platforms like Facebook, or even live streaming content to make sure that there's a lot more connection with the workforce of millennials. So, one might ask, are you in your workplace ready to embrace what makes millennials tick? But even more important than that, are you ready for Generation C? The centennials, people born after 1996, coming of age about now. They're a completely different breed. They're today's trendsetters, but more importantly, they're tomorrow's consumers. And they are highly influential in the purchasing decisions made in any household across all categories. In fact, no longer is the adult the chief financial officer, we're just the treasury. Centennials spend 35% more time on their mobile phones than the rest of the population. 60% of them will not use an app or a website if it's too slow to load or hard to navigate. And they care about social responsibility, inclusiveness, and global connectedness. In fact, most of them consider themselves to be, if that clicks through, global citizens. 1 in 2 people today consider themselves to be a global citizen. There's no longer boundaries, physical boundaries, in terms of where they buy from and who they look at for inspiration. In fact, 70% of all online shoppers have bought something from a company based outside of their own country. So think about that as you think about your own business growth and where that's going to come from. But consumers are a little bit schizophrenic. They have dual characters. Yes, they think of themselves as global citizens, but they also want to differentiate themselves. They want to look at local players. They want to find that boutique where nobody else has found a fashion apparel to wear, or that coffee shop that nobody else knows about. We're seeing that in terms of some of the trends on our platforms, whether it's the number of searches that are happening on Instagram related to localism. Give me my local shop, my local coffee place. Or the fact that secondhand marketplaces are booming. Buying and selling online on platforms like Facebook or others is growing at an exponential rate. So that's the first C around culture. And the key takeaway is that you can't just identify someone because of a demographic. People are omnicultural in their identity, whether it's when it comes to gender, age, or geography. Oop. Let's speak about the second C, communication. The main change that we've seen has been the mobile device. Actually, we look at mobile not as a technology, but as a consumer behavior. It's changed the way we consume information and content. We used to get most of our news and entertainment on a big black box on a wall called a TV. Today, most of that consumption is happening on mobile phones. 10 years ago, we used to connect to the internet via desktop. Today, as consumers yourselves, you know that most of that interaction happens on a mobile phone. And because a mobile phone is so small from a real estate perspective, it's changed the way people actually use the internet. It's moved away from an intent-based, search-based behavior that they could type on a keyboard to one of discovery. They actually open up their favorite set of apps and they say, entertain me, help me discover something new. And again, this is something important for businesses to consider. You can't just wait and hope that someone's going to look for you and end up buying from you. Driving that awareness and discovery is an important part. And driving that awareness and discovery in more immersive experiences like video and images is ever more important, again, because of the real estate being so small on a mobile screen. So not text heavy, but video heavy. In fact, mobile has made all consumers a lot faster in the way they consume content. 41% faster, actually, as they stream through a mobile device versus the consumption on a desktop. And there's actually studies, neuroscience studies, by MIT to prove that it only takes 13 milliseconds for a human brain to remember most of an image that they've just seen. And I want to try that experiment now with you. I'm going to flash something on this screen. Hopefully it works. Hopefully technology is an ally. I'm going to flash it on for a very short period, and then we're going to talk about what's on there. Ready? What did you see? Van. What color? Anything else? White roof. Old. VW. T1. Very specific. Standing still. 13 milliseconds. The amount of content that the brain could assimilate. You know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, guess what? The human brain processes an image 60,000 times faster than words. So as you think about how you're communicating with your consumers, keep that at the back of your mind. How do I go with an image-first, video-first narrative as opposed to something that is text-heavy? Because that's what your consumers want. They want more and more mobile video. We already saw the stat earlier. 75% of all data is going to be video-related by 2020. And in surveys conducted here in the UAE, participants were 5 times more likely to gaze at a video than they were at a static image. And it drives behavior as well, whether it's in discovering a new brand, trying a new food, maybe a new fitness routine, or even booking a vacation. And you know what's even more powerful than just a video? A video that tells a story. Who here uses Instagram stories? Who knows what Instagram stories are? Okay. Instagram stories, or stories in general, is what you see here on the screen. It's content that is meant to be authentic, spur of the moment, ephemeral, so goes away after 24 hours, doesn't live long, and it's what consumers are looking for. They're looking for authenticity, not only when they're communicating with one another, but also with the businesses that they care about. And today, this format is booming. There's globally 400 million daily users of Instagram stories. And surprisingly for me, there's actually more users of WhatsApp status, which is the stories platform on WhatsApp, than Instagram stories. So we've seen how the evolution of the way people consume content has changed, right? We've gone from text-heavy type of communication, hey, I'm in Italy, it's beautiful, whether a postcard or a text message, to maybe sharing a few photos, to today sharing a video, and lo and behold, in a not so distant future, it's going to be about immersive experiences, virtual reality and augmented reality. In fact, consumers today are already looking at virtual reality across different industries as a way of getting inspired, whether it's checking out a new destination in a virtual reality setting, or trying on clothes or makeup, or even taking a car out for a test drive, or attending a concert. These immersive experiences are already being embraced by consumers and by some businesses. Here's an example by Under Armour, a sports apparel company, that built an augmented reality filter. Basically, as you take your phone and go around the store and point it at different things, these augmented reality features appeal. Now, some might think of it as gimmicky, but in this day and age, between millennials and centennials, this is the type of immersive experience that people are looking for. So, the key takeaway on the communication side is that most consumers are looking to be inspired with immersive experiences, with multi-sensory multipliers, no longer just a text-heavy communication. They want videos, they want stories, they want extended reality plays, VR, AR. And that leads us to our third C, which is around how the world of commerce is changing. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Yes, the consumer journey is long, but once people make their mind up, they want things instantly. How many of you here use Careem or Uber versus a taxi? By show of hands, Uber or Careem? And why is that? Anyone care to share? It's more efficient, it's easier, it's convenient. Technology is being used for convenience. It's removing friction points. It's one of the biggest threats to your business. Attention spans have become less than that of a goldfish. If it takes time for you to get a message across to your consumers, you're going to lose them. In fact, over 80% of shoppers are unlikely to shop with a brand if they had a poor experience, even more so than price points and things of the sort. And today, over $200 billion of revenue is lost by US retailers because of goods being abandoned in the shopping cart, because of a clunky consumer journey. So, how do we move to a zero-friction future? One of the words that came up earlier was convenience. No one brought up price. No one said, well, it's a little bit more expensive when we're talking about Uber and Careem. It was about efficiency, convenience. And that's what people want to see globally. People are willing to pay more if it means that it's saving them time. Because time is the one thing they can't get back. And they want these experiences to be instant, and they want it to be interactive. In fact, what we're seeing is that messaging platforms are playing that role. How many of you would love to be able to communicate with a business through a messaging platform like WhatsApp? Right? Instead of calling, getting an IVR, select 0, select 1, depending on your options, having to maybe go to a store instead, having to entertain that conversation. Conversations that are happening on messaging platforms between consumers, we already know. But guess what? Consumers are looking and expecting to entertain conversations via messaging platforms with businesses. Over 60% prefer it via phone and email. And over 50% are more likely to shop with a business that they can message. In fact, already on some of our platforms, whether Messenger or WhatsApp, we're seeing 8 billion messages being exchanged between consumers and businesses every month. And 3 out of 4 consumers expect messaging to create better customer experiences. And not only that, they expect things to be instant. They expect things to be as quick as possible. 90% of them expect a response within 24 hours, and that's already stretching it. And the counter-argument to that is that most businesses, 56%, still can't be contacted via any kind of social media platform or messaging platform. So we're actually seeing commerce converge. We're seeing that consumer journey collapse. Consumers don't want to spend as much time on that journey once they decide what they want to buy, and they want instant interaction with the businesses that they care about. So we spoke about the shifts in culture. We spoke about the shifts in communication, and we spoke about the shifts in commerce. What does that mean for your businesses? First of all, what got you here is not going to get you there. So start breaking the frameworks that you've constrained yourself to. Create these seamless, personalized experiences. Experiment. Figure out how you deliver personalized experiences through automation. How do you actually start maybe communicating differently? No more gender stereotyping, no more geographic constraints. Create for context. People want curated context. They want something that matters to them specifically, not a one-size-fits-all. And most importantly, we already spoke about how mobile is not a technology, it's a consumer behavior. Put mobile at the forefront of everything that you do. Mobile is no longer just yet an additional part of your strategy. It should be the first element of your strategy because that's where people are spending their time, their attention, and that's where they want to communicate and interact with you. Thank you.
Just quickly, I said that we would factor in a couple of minutes for questions. If there are any questions for Shant, we've got a quick question here, Shant, if that's all right with you. Yes, Maha, over to you.
Hi, Shant. I have a couple of questions. I will say it quickly. When we're going to have a music on the stories for Middle East on Instagram? Number 2, when can people shop through Instagram in the Middle East, except Joel? And third one, what type of support do you give to entrepreneurs and people who have businesses started from the UAE as you are based in the UAE? Thank you.
So first question around more MENA-specific numbers. You asked about Instagram stories, but maybe I can share some of the numbers that are publicly available. There's over 190 million monthly active users of Facebook, the Blue app, in the Middle East and North Africa. There's almost 100 million monthly active users of Instagram in this part of the world. right? These are numbers that we can publicly share. Unfortunately, we don't have a slice and dice of how many Instagram store users, etc. Your second story was around Instagram shopping. So in the spirit of collapsing the consumer journey, we're actually investing in building native shopping experiences on our apps. So no longer do you only need to discover something on Instagram and then gets you rerouted to an e-commerce site and you got to start the journey from scratch. You can actually start and end your consumer journey through Instagram, through a feature called Instagram Shopping. Now, this is something that we're experimenting primarily in the US and with a select few, call them influencers, etc. So the likes of Joel or Huda Beauty. But Instagram Shopping, in terms of showing different products and actually giving you features of what those products include, is today available in this part of the world. The third question around what kind of assets are available for businesses when it comes to leveraging social media better. And maybe I should have put that up, but there's probably one place to start in terms of educating either yourselves or your teams. What I've seen actually work with a lot of clients is select an ambassador within your team, preferably someone young and hungry who wants to learn, to actually make them your social media expert, not in terms of posting, but how you actually leverage digital to grow the business. So it's not a cute content hub, it's how are we leveraging social to actually drive business sales. So there's one asset online. So if you just go to your favorite search engine and type facebook.com/blueprint, that's the place to start in terms of your educational journey. It's free online videos that Facebook provides on any topic that is top of mind for you to go from zero to hero when it comes to social media. Yes.
We are a business that we need Facebook team support. Yeah, we don't want to go through agency. I think you should have a team that they can help entrepreneur in that country.
So you may recall the first slide that I presented, right? 2.7 billion people, 90 million businesses, 6 million advertisers. Helping all of these constituents is not going to be through a human interaction. It's going to be through technology. So leveraging technology assets, leveraging learning programs like the ones that I mentioned are the way to do it. I appreciate that you'd obviously want to be able to speak with someone, but if we were to service 6 million businesses on a one-on-one basis, we would need 12 million people working for us, and that's just not going to happen.
A couple of questions this side, Shant. Yes, sir?
Amazing presentation, and I must say that a lot of good data you presented. I just wanted to know, how do you get this data, and do you really research consumers across markets, or these are data which you received from some agencies?
So it's a combination of. We have an entity called Facebook IQ, which is our knowledge center, and all of the research and the studies that they commission is actually available online. So if, again, you go to your favorite search engine and look for Facebook IQ, letter I, letter Q, you'll see all of those research reports and statistics. Others is third-party data, from your favorite research houses, eMarketer, Euromonitor, etc.
Another question down here. Final one. Yes, sir.
One more thing, sorry, if I may add, when it comes to data and insights, because I get asked that question a lot. As you think about how you leverage Facebook and Instagram to grow your business, we do have something called Audience Insights. Again, facebook.com/audience insights should do it. It's a free insights platform that enables you to slice and dice the consumer base on our platforms to understand how big of an audience you're looking at, what are some of the interests that they care about, etc. So Audience Insights.
Hi, Shant. Thanks again for a very insightful presentation. Just a quick question. I understand a lot of trends you presented pertain to global audiences. Any 2 or 3 areas where you feel the consumers in Middle East region are different from global audiences?
Great question. A lot of the consumer trends that you saw here are probably even more accentuated in this part of the world. Why? Because over 50% of the population is below the age of 30 in the Middle East and North Africa, and hence they're digital first, if not digital only. They never came across an analog device, an analog TV. And they're heavy consumers of digital content. In fact, the watch hours or video watch hours per capita is highest in the world, in this part of the world, right? So again, mobile video, we saw that that's a global trend, even more accentuated here. Consumers thinking of digital and mobile as the place where they spend their time and attention, even more accentuated here.
We could go on for a lot longer. Unfortunately, time is against us. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to Shant and all the team at Facebook. Shant, thank you.